Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
This is us down here in the lower left-hand corner. Because it's on a wide angle, it's like taken. Where are we?
We're at St. Alban's Cathedral, which is the site where St. Alban, in the year 300, was killed by the Romans for being a Christian.
Even though he wasn't a Christian.
He was.
I thought he wasn't a Christian. I thought he just protected that Christian martyr.
Yeah, but it's a big sacrifice if you're not a Christian, isn't it?
I guess if anyone knows, you can put it in the comments if we can't agree on anything.
But this is the first saint of England, St. Albans. That one we do know.
Yeah.
So in the year 300, the Romans killed him because he said he was a Christian.
Either way, yeah, he said he was a Christian. He changed
Robes.
Exchanged robes, and they took him up on this hill, and they basically beheaded him because he confessed to be a Christian.
On this site, this is where the cathedral was built, on the site where he was beheaded, and his remains are inside. We went to see him.
I mean, you can't see the actual remains, but yeah.
The shrine.
Okay, anyway, we're going to read Srimad Bhagavatam because that's what we do, go to different places and read.
And we're sitting in a graveyard, by the way.
Yeah. Might come and look at our remains here one day. Okay.
Alright, Canto 4, Chapter 8, Text 52.
53.
53?
Yeah, pretty sure.
Alright, Om Namo
Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
53. O son of the king, now I shall speak unto you the mantra which is to be chanted with this process of meditation. One who carefully chants this mantra for 7 nights can see the perfect human beings flying in the sky. Purport. Within this universe there is a planet called Siddhaloka. The inhabitants of Siddhaloka are by nature perfect in the yoga achievements, which are of 8 varieties. One can become smaller than the smallest, lighter than the lightest, or bigger than the biggest. One can immediately get whatever he likes. One can even create a planet, etc. These are some of the yogic perfections. By virtue of the Lagima Siddhi, or purificatory process, to become lighter than the lightest, the inhabitants of Siddhaloka can fly in the sky without airplanes or airships. It is hinted herein by Narada Muni to Dhruva Maharaj that by meditating upon the transcendental form of the Lord and at the same time chanting the mantra, one becomes so perfect within 7 days that he can see the human beings who fly in the sky. Narada Muni uses the word japa, which indicates that the mantra to be chanted is very confidential. One may ask, if it is confidential, why is it mentioned in the writing of Srimad Bhagavatam? It is confidential in this sense. One may receive a published mantra anywhere, but unless it is accepted through the chain of disciplic succession, the mantra does not act. It is said by authoritative sources that any mantra chanted without having been received from the disciplic succession has no efficacy. So it's important to chant in disciplic succession, which is interesting because there are people that use, for example, the Maha Mantra and use it in their own sort of like way, and they're not in a disciplic succession, but at the same time people are exposed to the Maha Mantra by them doing that. So like when I was growing up, some of you may remember Top of the Pops and what's his name? It's gone now. The one that had this Hare Krishna song.
Boy George?
Yeah. I mean, I knew obviously of the Hare Krishna before, but that was famous and people would sing it and they liked it, and it was like, you know, even if they didn't know what they were doing, they would sing it. So and then it would be like, well, what's he into now? And then it would be explained, oh, he is into Hare Krishnas. And I'm sure people as a result of that were exposed to it. Obviously the question is, did they become pure devotees just by hearing it from him?
Well, he received it in line of disciplic succession because he got it from the devotees.
Yes.
So, you know, he was connected with the devotees and still is connected with the devotees. So.
He is. Yeah. All right.
All right. So I think it's very interesting, for one, that, well, it mentions here the perfect human beings who fly in the sky. And of course we're at a church, chapel inside, or this is a cathedral. And inside there were, you know, many different angels. So, you know, we hear about angels. Growing up as a, you know, white-bodied person in America, you know, it was angels, angels, angels. But you know, you never really understood what the heck an angel was. But here it is in the Bhagavatam that talks about, you know, the humans who can fly. Now, I mean, I don't know if they had wings or not, because Narada Muni certainly flies, but he definitely doesn't seem to have wings, not that I've seen. So it seems that it is possible to fly, but I guess, you know, for someone who can fly, it might make more sense to put wings on them, so then you know that they're the people that can fly. Whether they had wings or not might be an interesting thing. But I'm pretty sure somewhere in the Bhagavatam, somewhere in the Bhagavatam, it mentions also winged personalities. So like that. Let's read the next bit. Another point established in this verse is that meditation should be carried on with the chanting of a mantra. Chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra is the easiest process of meditation in this age. As soon as one chants the Hare Krishna mantra, he sees the forms of Krishna, Rama, and their energies, and that is the perfect stage of trance. One should not artificially try to see the form of the Lord while chanting Hare Krishna, but when the chanting is performed defenselessly, the Lord will automatically reveal himself to the view of the chanter. Therefore, the chanter has to concentrate on hearing the vibration, and without extra endeavor on his part, the Lord will automatically appear. This is interesting because this is what I was talking about, I think, a couple times before, about this principle of not trying to imagine, but to what was the terminology? You're not trying to, don't imagine it, but you can meditate on the form of the Lord. So it seems interesting, Prabhupada says that here, after we've read these verses where it says you should meditate on this form of the Lord. And my understanding is that, as Prabhupada is saying here, that we shouldn't try to concoct some image within our mind, but yes, it says one should not artificially try to see the form of the Lord while chanting. I mean, what does that mean, artificially try to see the form? But Prabhupada says that if you just meditate purely on the sound vibration, then the Lord will manifest his form automatically. I mean, that's very powerful. Thoughts?
Yes, and I like the last sentence. The chanter therefore has to concentrate on hearing the vibration, and without extra endeavor on his part, the Lord will automatically appear. It's nice. Sometimes I think people can get too into it in a weird way, and you just have to hear. You just have to. The words come out the mouth, and then they go in the ears, as it were.
Okay. What is that? Radha says, the more you listen, the more you hear.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, next. So this is the mantra now. She's gonna read the Sanskrit.
No, the mantra is Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. That's the mantra. This is text 54. I'll do it again. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. This is a 12-syllable mantra for worshipping Lord Krishna. One should install the physical forms of the Lord, and with the chanting of the mantra, one should offer flowers and fruits and other varieties of foodstuffs exactly according to the rules and regulations prescribed by authorities. But this should be done in consideration of place, time, and attendant conveniences and inconveniences. Purport. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya is known as the dasa Kashara mantra.
It's the Dasa Akshara mantra.
Right. This mantra is chanted by Vaishnava devotees, and it begins with pranava or omkara. There is an injunction that those who are not Brahmanas cannot pronounce the pranava mantra. I guess that's me, I can't pronounce it. But Dhruva Maharaj was born a Kshatriya. He at once admitted before Narada Muni that as a Kshatriya he was unable to accept Narada's instruction of renunciation and mental equilibrium, which are the concern of a Brahmana. Still, although not a Brahmana but a Kshatriya, Dhruva was allowed on the authority of Narada to pronounce the Pranava Omkara. This is very significant. Especially in India, the caste Brahmanas object greatly when persons from other castes who are not born in Brahmana families recite this pranava mantra. But here is tacit proof that if a person accepts a Vaishnava mantra or Vaishnava way of worshipping the deity, he is allowed to chant the pranava mantra. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord personally accepts that anyone, even one of a low species, can be elevated to the highest position and go back home, back to Godhead, simply if he worships properly. Very powerful, because you can see Prabhupada here, I would say, is talking about his situation and allowing Maletas and Yavanas, like Americans and that, to chant the mantras and do deity worship. And he was heavily criticized for that. And women as well, and women. He was criticized, but how Prabhupada's making the point that if you're given, like Narada, and Dhruva wasn't qualified either according to this because he was Kshatriya, but Narada qualified him. And same way Prabhupada qualified us. So it has to come in the authorized path. It says, Prabhupada says, even one of a low species can be elevated to the highest position and go back home, back to Godhead, simply if he worships properly.
Yeah, one of the low species.
Huh?
One of the low species, quite powerful.
Yeah. If he worships properly, he can go back to Godhead.
It's quite a long purport, so we're going to read on. The prescribed rules, as stated here by Narada Muni, are that one should accept the mantra through a bona fide spiritual master and hear the mantra in the right ear. So this is talking about Brahman Diksha. Not only should one chant or murmur the mantra, but in front of him he must have the deity or physical form of the Lord. Of course, when the Lord appears, it is no longer a physical form. For example, when an iron rod is made red hot in a fire, it is no longer iron, it is fire. Similarly, when we make a form of the Lord, whether of wood or stone or metal or jewels or paint or even a form within the mind, it is a bona fide spiritual transcendental form of the Lord. Not only must one receive the mantra from the bona fide spiritual master like Narada Muni and his representative in the disciplic succession, but one must chant the mantra. And not only must one chant, but he should also offer whatever foodstuff is available in his part of the world according to time and convenience. Interesting. Prabhupada really, I guess by the fourth canto, things were really opening up globally for a minute. And Prabhupada was just really, really making it inclusive. So means wherever you are in the world, whatever you're doing, you get into Krishna consciousness, you have to offer your food. And you can offer whatever food it is that you eat as according to convenience there. Prabhupada wasn't like, Krishna only likes rice dal and chapatis, or a certain shock. Like I was hearing a lecture by Radhanath Maharaj yesterday, and he kept talking about how Lord Chaitanya likes shock, like shock, special shock, and how Mother Sachi used to cook this special shock. Anyone who heard that lecture knows he said it again and again and again. So like that, but Prabhupada is saying here, whatever is convenient and whatever is the food stuff that is available in this part of the world. Now, of course, you could say, well, that means meat or fish or eggs, but Prabhupada doesn't say that. But that is a given. That is an implied understanding from the scripture, So, anyway.
Next paragraph. The method of worship, chanting the mantra and preparing forms of the Lord is not stereotyped, nor is it exactly the same everywhere. It is specifically mentioned in this verse that one should take consideration of the time, place and available conveniences. Our Krishna consciousness movement is going on throughout the entire world, and we also install deities in different centers. Sometimes our Indian friends sometimes maybe I'm pausing for thought.
Okay.
Sometimes our Indian friends, puffed up with concocted notions, criticize, this has not been done, that has not been done. But they forget this instruction of Narada Muni to one of the greatest Vaishnavas, Dhruva Maharaj. One has to consider the particular time, country and conveniences. What is convenient in India may not be convenient in the Western countries. Those who are not actually in the line of acharyas or personally have no knowledge of how to act in the role of acharya unnecessarily criticize the activities of the ISKCON movement in countries outside of India. The fact is that such critics cannot do anything personally to spread Krishna consciousness. If someone does go and preach, taking all risk and allowing all considerations for time and place, it might be that there are changes in the manner of worship, but that is not at all faulty according to Sastra. Srimad Vira Raghavacharya, an acharya in the disciplic line of the Ramanuja Sampradaya, has remarked in his commentary that Chandalas or conditioned souls who are born in lower than Shudra families can also be initiated according to circumstances. The formalities may be slightly changed here and there to make them Vaishnavas. So Prabhupada's definitely
having a dig, isn't it?
Yeah, well, he's having a dig because people are having a dig at him. And like he said, it's not like they can do anything to personally spread Krishna conscious movement. And he also says that they're puffed up with concocted notions. So you go, Prabhupada.
Yeah, go, Prabhupada.
Because those who did take to the process, for sure, they are grateful for how he's changed our lives.
Jai Prabhupada.
These crazy dogs are coming here.
Yeah, so this is interesting. Prabhupada also quotes Vira Raghavacharya, coming into the disciplic succession of Ramanuja, who also made the statement that Shudras could be initiated, or those lower than Shudras could be initiated under certain circumstances, so like that. Okay. Crazy dogs. Okay, next paragraph. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recommends that his name should be heard in every nook and corner of the world. How is this possible unless one preaches everywhere? The cult of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Bhagavad Dharma, and he especially recommends Krishna Katha, or the cult of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. He recommends that every Indian, considering this task to be para upakar, or welfare activity, take the Lord's message to the other residents of the world. Other residents of the world does not refer only to those who are exactly like the Indian Brahmanas and Kshatriyas, or like the caste Brahmanas who claim to be Brahmanas because they were born in the families of Brahmanas. Gosh, go Prabhupada. The principle that only Indians and Hindus be brought into the Vaishnava cult is a mistaken idea. There should be propaganda to bring everyone to the Vaishnava cult. The Krishna consciousness movement is meant for this purpose. There is no bar to propagating the Krishna consciousness movement, even among people who are born in Chandala, Mlecha, and Yavana families. That's me, by the way. Even in India, this point has been enunciated by Srila Sanatana Goswami in his book Hare Bhakti Vilas, which is Smriti and is authorized Vedic guide and is the authorized Vedic guide for Vaishnavas in their daily behavior. Sanatana Goswami says that as bell metal can turn to gold when mixed with mercury in a chemical process, so by the bona fide diksha or initiation method, anyone can become a Vaishnava. One should take initiation from a bona fide spiritual master coming in the disciplic succession who is authorized by his predecessor spiritual master. This is Diksha Vidhan. Lord Krishna states in Bhagavad Gita, Vyapashritya, one should accept the spiritual master. By this process, the entire world can be converted to Krishna consciousness. Very interesting. Yeah, it's quite powerful. Prabhupada is really, really driving home this point, that this mentality of casteism coming from India, driven by a mentality of more or less holier than thou, that we're better than better than them, better than this. This mentality is what actually stops the spread of Krishna consciousness. Whereas the great personalities like Sanatana Goswami, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Viraragava Acharya, these personalities understand that in order for it to spread, it will have to encompass all living entities. And especially because Lord Chaitanya said, spread my name to every town and village. So that means you're going to have to go to those towns and villages, and every town and village means the Malecha villages, the Yavana villages, the Chandala villages. This means everywhere it goes. And by the process of proper initiation, which means by instruction from the spiritual master and Diksha, then persons can be converted. So this is incredible, very powerful.
Nice purport.
Amazing.
Very nice.
Yeah, so.
And it's just kind of sad as well, because Prabhupada was up against, it's bad enough trying to fight with the material energy and trying to present this knowledge in a way that the conditioned souls will appreciate it. And then he gets criticized and whatnot by his god family and by other so-called scholars, and he was up against so much, in such an old age, and the circumstances, conditions that he faced when he went to America. I mean, I wouldn't have even got off that boat. I wouldn't have got on the boat, if I'm honest with you. So, that's what when I hear, and he's such a, it's coming out, and he had that nature. He was, like he said, when towards the end, when he was asking for forgiveness from everyone when he was leaving his body, he said, I was too much of a preaching with Bhagavad Gita in one hand and bashing you on the head with the other, and I was too much shatra. And he was like, when he was becoming very humble, he didn't have to, but in asking for forgiveness, I was too harsh and like that. When he was surrounded by his disciples, they said, no, you wasn't, Prabhupada, no, you wasn't. But he had to do that in the time, because that's his nature as well. He ate some wallflower, and we're grateful for that. Yeah, so how appropriate to be hearing the words from Srila Prabhupada, who is our great Acharya saint.
Great saint,
It's at the base of where St. Albans is buried. His relics are here, and he made a great sacrifice for Christian faith, and Prabhupada made a great sacrifice as well.
Gaudiya Vaishnavism.
Yeah,
Hare
how
Krishna.
appropriate.
Okay, thank you all very much. We're going to go now. Love you and leave you.
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Sacrifice in the mood of a higher purpose, like St. Alban Ki Jai. Jai Go Premanandi.
Haribo.